Today, we weave together three powerful stories of courage, resilience, and sacrifice. Stories that remind us that sometimes the bravest acts are the quietest, and sometimes they echo around the world. They say true bravery is not the absence of fear, but the choice to move forward in spite of it. Today, we gather around that idea because bravery has never been more needed, more tested, or more deserving of honor. So today's message is simple, but I believe it is certainly profound. Bravery is not always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper that says, I will not give up. It lives in the halls of the Vatican, in the voice of a survivor, in a firefighter's oath, in a prince who chose his own path, and in all of us who refuse to stop believing in something better. Welcome. This is Majesty Sussex Report, and I'm Antonio. Thank you for spending some of your valuable time here with us. Welcome once again. First, we pay tribute to a man whose compassion redefined an ancient institution. El Papa Francisco, Pope Francis, laid to rest today, lived bravely, not by sword or by decree, but by softening walls that had stood for centuries. In a church often known for rigidity, he opened the doors wide, declaring to the world, who am I to judge? Pope Francis, a life of brave compassion. Today, as the bells tolled in Vatican City, the world said goodbye to a man whose bravery wasn't built on might, but on mercy. Pope Francis, born Jorge Mario Bergoglio, passed away this Easter Monday at the age of 88. And today, as he was laid to rest, something extraordinary happened. Some may have seen it, some may have known about it. Among the dignitaries, cardinals, and heads of state, royalty, sat the poor, the marginalized, trans people, many forgotten by the society. They sat front and center, not tucked away at the back, not left outside the gates. They were invited, honored, there to be seen. And if you know Francis, you know it couldn't have been any other way. This was a man who washed the feet of prisoners. Once again, who said These words, 5 words. Who am I to judge? And for some, it was the biggest scandal. For most, like myself, it was a finally. Finally. Who are any of us to judge? Who stripped away the golden robes of power and replaced them with the rough cloth of a shepherd. He said, I just want to be a pastor. They offered him the red Prada shoes and gold stitch this and that and the red robes. And he said, no, thank you. They offered him the papal palace to live in. He said, no, thank you. He chose a simple room tucked away somewhere. A simple man. Bravery for Francis was in every moment he chose compassion over conviction. He dared to change the relationship between Rome and the bishops, many of whom did not like him, shifting from control to collaboration, allowing local churches to serve their communities as they knew best. He dared to lift the church's eyes from dogma to the streets, speaking boldly about climate change, about the suffering of migrants, about the greed that poisons our planet. And he dared to ask for all of us and for the church to make space for those who had been pushed aside. LGBTQ plus individuals, divorced families, the marginalized and the poor, not perfectly, but bravely. As the crowd gathered today to mourn him, it wasn't just a funeral, it was a testament, a reminder that true leadership is not about who stands above, it's about who kneels down and serves.
Trabajando en el Vaticano, ¿no? Sí, y es necesario eso. El machismo es malo. Y a veces el celibato te puede llevar a un machismo.
There are a lot more women working out of the Vatican. Yes, yes. Machismo is bad, and sometimes celibacy can lead you to machismo. A priest who doesn't know how to work with women is missing something, is missing true maturity. The Vatican is very macho. It was all part of the culture. That's no one's fault. It's always been done that way. Now, they are working more, let's say, on the council of the economy. And there are 6 cardinals, 6 lay people. Of course, the lay people were usually men. This I had to change. So I changed it. I put 1 man and 5 women. And we started to see dramatic changes. Things changed like, let's say, I'll give you another example. The Vatican governor. I had the chance to appoint a vice governor. So I appointed a woman. And the governor is now very happy. He feels that so much is getting done, so much is getting accomplished. You see, women solve things, women are solution oriented. Look, once I received a head of state, right? A head of government. The woman, she's a professional, she's a mother, and after all of this, she also decided to become a politician. And now, where she's from had a lot of problems, a lot of conflicts. So I asked her when I met with her, how did you manage to resolve all those conflicts? How did you do it? How did you manage it? You know, she took a second or two and then she answered to me like this. She goes, the way all mothers do it, the way all mothers solve problems. And to be frank with you, I don't know what that means. I really don't know. But it's important because you see, women have a different methodology. Women have a different sense of time, of space. They have more patience that men don't have. This does not diminish what the man does or his role, but it's important, it's very important for us to have both of them, right? We need both.
Pope Francis has been laid to rest at the Basilica of St. Mary Major in Rome, in a simple underground tomb with just his papal name, Franciscus. His funeral on Saturday attracted as many as 250,000 people, rich and poor alike, who came to pay their respects. Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re, who eulogized Pope Francis, memorialized him as a pope among the people, with an open heart towards everyone. After the funeral mass on St. Peter's Square, the Pope's coffin was moved to the Basilica of St. Mary Major for a private burial. Despite the attendance of presidents and princes, it was prisoners, transgender people, migrants, and the poor who welcomed his body into the church towards his final resting place. The Pope hoped the ceremony would reflect the priorities of his papacy, where he aimed to emphasize his role as a mere priest rather than a powerful religious leader.
It was a deeply moving funeral service that reflected the widespread love and respect for Pope Francis on this historic day. Cardinal Re, who presided over the funeral, said that Pope Francis gave everything until the end, touching the minds and hearts of many. He also said that he devoted himself to the most marginalized on earth. Now, despite being a global event with over 180 international delegations attending, it maintained the simple and modest style that defined his pontificate. As Pope Francis is laid to rest, world leaders, Catholics from around the world, bid farewell to a man who set a moral example and tried to change the church from within. Regardless of whom the conclave will elect as the next pontiff, some of the changes that Pope Francis introduced when it comes to defining the role of the Pope are seen as irreversible. Pope Francis envisioned a Pope not as a monarch, but as a humble pastor.
You know, sometimes you dream about big things, really, really big things that you know will never happen. I say dream them. Go ahead, please dream them. Dream about new horizons. Go, have new adventures. Open your heart to new things, to new adventures, and dream. Dream. Dream big. Look, you're the ones to make this world a better place. You're the ones who are going to make it different, a good place. Yes, I know sometimes you can overdo it and dream a little bit too much. It's not here nor there, really. But think about this. If you dream big, really big, and you accomplish just half of that, you would have accomplished quite a lot. So don't forget to dream. Dream big. You have the capacity to do that. Go. First thing is first. Dream. And those are some of the reasons why I absolutely loved this Pope. There was so much he wanted to do that he couldn't because he recognized that if he pushed too much, that he risked dividing the church, and that he did not want. He did not want that being the first pope from the South, the first pope Jesuit, the first pope from Latin America, the first pope of the first of many things, that then this would be the last type of pope like him. He wanted to create a path so that it could be progress. And he found a very interesting, tricky way of doing it. He did it with his words that he said in public, not by doctrine. Because, for example, when he said on that plane, on that flight, that who am I to judge when they asked him about LGBTQ plus individuals, he meant what he said. But when he got back to Rome, the powers to be, the ultra conservative within the church, they were, it was a big scandal. And they needed to taper that. So immediately after there was in the publication, in the bulletin or whatever it's called, they basically wrote this thing that said that the doctrine had not changed. The doctrine is the same, right? But what Pope Francis did, he wanted people to listen to what he was saying because he knew that trying to change the doctrine would be very difficult. The things that I love is when he would speak to young people. Mm. He said, go cause trouble. He goes, good trouble. Okay? He goes, go question things. He goes, if there are rules and stuff you don't like, ask why, challenge it. He goes, even within the church, challenge these rules. You are the ones who are here to make a difference. It's you. You are going to make the difference. He said, go and learn. Don't stay within what was what was told to you as truth, what was indoctrinated to you. Go sit with different type of people, learn from them. And he said, most importantly, learn from your elders. He goes, sit with the elders and learn from their experiences. He goes, they are the roots to everything. They're the roots to what we think is a truth. They are the roots to what we might be able to change, but we're not going to be able to do that if you don't know the history of it. He goes, cutting off the roots is a waste of time, and we're losing, if we do that, the richness of history. Sit with your elders, listen to them, talk to them, learn from them. There was a gay man from Africa. He stood there, a, a, a young guy, and he said this whole thing to the Pope, and the Pope, then at the end he said, but I'm gay. And without skipping a beat, the Pope just looked at him and said, so what? So what? You are God's child. You are God's child. That's it. Everything else doesn't matter. You are God's child, and God loves you just the way you are. Don't let anyone else tell you that any differently. He said that also to a transgendered woman, well, young girl. Um, I loved this Pope. And people criticize him because they say, well, he wasn't progressive enough. But they miss what he was doing. They miss it when he spoke, especially when he spoke to young people. He was creating a little revolution. We honor another kind of bravery, one that came at a heartbreaking cost. Virginia Giuffre, a survivor who stood up against the powerful, tragically passed away at the age of 41. Virginia's bravery in speaking out against Prince Andrew and in giving voice to so many silenced survivors changed the world and brought attention where it was needed. The circumstances surrounding her death are troubling, but today we hold space to honor her legacy, not in how her story ended, but in how boldly she chose to live it. She mattered. Her courage matters. Her voice echoes still. Virginia Giuffre, a voice silenced but never forgotten. There are few acts braver than standing alone against giants. Virginia Giuffre did that, and she paid a heavy price. Virginia was more than a name tied to a scandal. She was a woman who refused to be silenced. She stood up to one of the most powerful networks of privilege and abuse the world has ever seen, calling out men like J.E. and Prince Andrew. She fought not just for herself, but for every girl, every woman, every survivor who had been told to sit down and be quiet. And now, at just 41 years old, she's gone. Her final post showed a woman fighting, not giving up, bruised, battered, posting photo of injuries she said came from being struck by a bus. Doctors gave her only days to live. And yet, the last we heard, she was recovering. There was hope. Until suddenly word spread that Virginia had taken her own life. There are many who still raise eyebrows, many who will wonder how a woman so determined, so strong, could fall silent so suddenly, especially when so many powerful, connected people who have benefited or will benefit from her absence. But today, we resist being pulled into darkness. Today, we honor her bravery. Virginia Giuffre was not defined by her death. She was defined by her courage to speak truth to power, and it has cost her everything. And if there is any justice in this world, her voice will never be forgotten. It is said that bravery is not just surviving battles. Sometimes it's daring to fight them at all. You did well, Virginia. Thank you. We shine a light on a man who knows the cost of stepping outside the expected. Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, recently stood before the aviation legends of the world and used his moment not for personal glory, but to honor those who run towards danger while others flee. Firefighters on the ground, pilots in the air, unsung heroes who answered the call to serve with no guarantee of recognition. In his words and actions, Harry reminds us that true service is born from bravery and that the most meaningful honors are the ones we pass forward. Prince Harry, the quiet valor of Prince Harry, the quiet valor of service. Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, a man who has learned that bravery isn't about wearing medals, but about carrying burdens no one sees. At the 22nd annual Legends of Aviation event, Harry had the perfect opportunity to talk about himself. Instead, he chose to honor the unseen heroes, the firefighters and pilots and first responders who battle the massive fires that torn through Los Angeles. He spoke not of royalty or titles, but of service. He called attention to those who rise above dawn, run into burning forests, fly over infernos, risking everything without asking for praise. He said, "These are the people who deserve our applause, not because they sought glory, but because they answered the call." That is the kind of bravery that often goes unnoticed. It's the quiet kind, the humble kind, the kind Prince Harry himself embodies. In the causes he champions, in the communities he uplifts, and the way he continues to serve despite all the venom thrown his way. In a world obsessed with fame and flash and all of that, Harry reminds us it's not about being celebrated. It's about showing up day after day with your sleeves rolled up and your heart still open. Bravery is not proven by titles or headlines. It's proven by service, even when no one, and especially when no one is watching. Bravo, Prince Harry. Good, King Harry.
Good evening, everybody. I feel like I picked a short straw. Not for being up here, but someone had to host a bunch of pilots and firefighters. That's where they are. There are five tables. I agreed with the organisers and a good idea. Let's get them along. But I did not agree to hosting two of the tables. Kurt, Morgan, thank you for the support. Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life that reveal a great deal about who we are, not just as individuals, but as a people. Moments that test our courage, compassion, and our commitment to one another. And time and again, what I've seen, or what the world sees, is that first responders rise to that challenge every single time. And yet we rarely get the chance to thank them. This community, bound and energized by service to others, shows up for us wherever we are and whenever they're needed. They put their lives on hold for as long as we need them. Those who are duty-bound to answer the call once they've chosen to wear the uniform. This past January, when fires swept through the 50 square miles of Los Angeles County, threatening homes, businesses, communities, we saw that spirit in action. We saw courage, we saw commitment, and we saw an extraordinary group of men and women take to the skies, risking their lives to protect people they would never meet. Tonight, we thank and honor members of our community, especially aerial firefighters and the supporting ground teams. The pilots, crews, and support teams who met disaster with discipline, with determination, and decisive drops of gallons of water and fire retardant to turn chaos into coordination. The aerial response to the LA fires was massive. More than 60 aircraft were deployed, from CAL FIRE, the California National Guard, The US Forest Service, private firefighting companies, and even a crew from Quebec, Canada. Aircraft also included the Sikorsky Firehawks, the UH-60 Blackhawks, Dash 8-400s, and two CL-415 Super Scoopers, as well as DC-1030s capable of dropping over 9,000 gallons of fire retardant in one single pass. Helicopters flew low over rugged terrain in day and night through thick smoke, dumping water with incredible precision and providing eyes in the sky for crews on the ground. Air tankers dove down ridge lines, laying down critical fire lines, helping contain the blaze and protect entire neighborhoods. And none of it happens without the people that we don't see. The ones coordinating the airspace and flight paths, the maintenance of the aircraft, monitoring wind events and coordinating radio communications. The ones making sure that every mission launches safely and comes home safely. This truly was an awesome display of teamwork. It has reminded us that in a world full of noise, there are still quiet heroes among us. Steady, capable, brave, and committed. Tonight, we celebrate aviation legends. The kind forged in smoke, shaped by teamwork, and defined by the courage to fly into danger when others are told to flee. This community doesn't ask for attention or recognition. They don't ask for praise. But tonight, we're going to give it to them, regardless. Because in my experience, it's the people who don't expect it or ask for it that need and appreciate it the most. Roll the tape.
Today, we honored three different faces of bravery. A pope who knelt to the forgotten, a survivor who stood against giants, a prince who lifts up others instead of himself. Each of them walked a different path. Each of them faced different storms. But their courage, that raw, stubborn, unwavering courage, speaks the same language, a language the world so desperately needs to hear. Pope Francis taught us that bravery is not about ruling from above. It's about bending down, washing the feet of the poor, sitting with the outcast, opening doors long slammed shut. It's about becoming a pope and canceling a contract to make one of the buildings into a luxury hotel and handing it over to charity so that homeless people can have a place to sleep and to eat. He showed us that change doesn't come from thunder and lightning, but from the quiet revolution of compassion. Virginia Giuffre reminded us that bravery sometimes looks like standing alone, facing a wall of power, wealth, and cruelty, and refusing to sit down. She gave her voice to the voiceless. She paid a heavy price. But she proved that even the smallest light can pierce the darkest rooms. Prince Harry shows us that bravery isn't always loud. It is in the steady hand on a brother's or a sister's shoulder. It's in the choice to lift up others when the spotlight could easily be yours. It's in the quiet decision to serve, to care, and to keep showing up, even when the world tries to tear you down. Their paths were different, their battles were different, but their courage continues from the same sacred place. The decision to show up, the decision to believe that what is right is worth fighting for, even if the world doesn't care, even if the world isn't watching. And so today, they call to us in whatever lives that we all are leading, whatever jobs we do, whatever battles we are quietly fighting behind closed doors. They call us to be just a little bit braver, a little bit kinder, a little bit stronger, a little bit more willing to stand when it would be easier to sit down. Because the world doesn't change through grand gestures alone. It doesn't change only in palaces or cathedrals or great halls. It changes in the quiet, in the small, in the everyday. It changes when ordinary people, like you, like me, when we choose to be brave. Thank you. Okay, my beautiful people. So once again, Antonio has come against the clock and time. I am late already in getting this streaming, and I apologize for that. So I am going to not um, do Palace Unfiltered for this episode. It'll be likely for tomorrow. And if you want to know what it's all about, it's just creating a different narrative than what that show, that similar show, Palace, whatever, does. Because I watched it on Thursday and I just couldn't stop laughing about how obvious the things that they say is just so invented, and they just talk out of their rear. You know what I mean? Anyways, so that will be tomorrow. I will start working on it. I'm going to give myself a break, grab something to eat, and then I'll start working on this one. And hopefully, it will be up for tomorrow. Now, I would be remiss if I don't ask you, if you are not a subscriber, to please subscribe. If you have enjoyed the content today, do subscribe. Do click on that bell. It does something according to YouTube, and that something is that it notifies you when we upload new material. Now, it's a temperamental bell. It works when it wants to, and it doesn't work when it doesn't want to. Hey, there's nothing we can do about it other than hope that it works when it's supposed to work. But it is what it is. Also, if you enjoyed the content, please give us a thumb up. You have to actually go to the thumb on the image there, like right below there. Yeah. And just click that. And also, you can share this with a friend, a colleague, a family member, whomever. Maybe you want to bother them, just bother them, like irritate them, send this to them. Or if you want to like think there are like-minded people like yourself, like me, like all of us, send it to them also. Why do I say to do these things? Because according to the algorithm and according to YouTube, this helps the channel, right? This channel has been a little bit really slow, like the little choo-choo train, and I'm okay with it. But at the same time, YouTube then sends me stuff saying you're not promoting your channel. Why aren't you doing this? Here are some things you should do. You need to start doing this. You need to open a shop. You need to do this, and I'm like, so I do want our channel to do well. I do want us to continue bringing this information to you. And yes, so that is why I suggest all of that. And of course, comments. Comments are uber super important also. I read all of them. Having said that, though, our council, our censorship council, also reads them. And they're the ones who decide which comments will be published and which ones are not. So when you write a comment, be very clear in your intention. Just my advice to you, okay? So if you want to support the Sussexes and it's a good thing, make it clear that that's what you intend. Because let's say, for example, the wording you use is kind of like nor there nor here, not sure, not we don't know, right? I mean, not me, the council of censorship. If they're not sure either way, right, they'll be like, okay, we're not sure, so we're not going to publish it. Now, keep in mind, people, this is a Sussex friendly channel. So if you have things to say that are not nice, go sit on another channel if you want your stuff published. Okay. All right. That's it. So I did my duty as per YouTube. And thank you. Thank you all very, very, very much for being here. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for supporting this channel. Thank you for your love, for your care, your everything. I appreciate it a gazillion. I got up and I started to write today's today's episode, and I was up at 3 a.m. in the morning watching the ceremony from the Vatican, and I just kept thinking about what Pope Francis represents, what the core of him. There's many things people say about him, and I just wanted to focus back into his words. And it reminded me of Prince Harry and the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan, and they've said many times, listen to what we say, right? The truth will come from our mouth. It will be our intentions. Don't know what other people are saying around there. So I went back to what does Pope Francis, Papa Francisco, what did he say? What did he say? And from that is where I was able to write what I wrote. And it's important also when we think about Virginia, what she said. There's speculations, there are things out there. I didn't want to bring them in. I just wanted to just let you know that they're there. And let's face it, folks, that institution and a lot of the people that were involved in the things that we know were happening or we found out were happening are powerful people. Now, the leader of that gang, right, J.E., they said that he had unalived himself in prison. Did any one of us see his body? Did they show a picture? Did any of us, was it public where he was buried? Did any of that? Because I don't remember seeing any of that. I'm not one to kind of try and spread rumors or try and conspiracy theories and that, he was on a plane somewhere and he was taken to another country, a certain country. I'm not going to say which one, but, rumors are out there. So this all just feels very Very, very weird. I pray to our Father, pray to the Lord Jesus, and give thanks that this is a community that prays, because the Sussexes will always need our prayers, because that institution and that family, and I say hallelujah that Meghan said enough, and that her husband, Prince Harry, said, okay, love. And they're not a bunch that are good to women. There's just a lot of evil. With that said, let me end this here now and upload this before you folks get upset at me. I love you all. Thank you for being here. Be kind to yourself, okay? Be kind to your loved ones. Bye-bye.